Well, good afternoon. I am the Noble Q. I'm your host for this special stream of World of Warplanes, where we will be unveiling the Reggiane Re.2005 Sagittario, the new Tier 7 reward plane. And if I've got this about right, the mission should have just become available for you to start grinding your way through this aircraft. And there are some big grinds, I have to say, for what I thought was an anniversary plane. And normally the grinds and the missions for these planes for anniversary rewards are much less onerous. This one's a big one, so you're going to have to really put your efforts in to get this aircraft. I hope that this stream will tell you something about the plane and make you decide whether you think it's worth the effort, or indeed whether you want to buy certificates or just give this one a plain old skip. So here we are. This is the special livery on the plane. And I'm going to say straight away, I don't think it's that special, and some of you will think it's downright ugly, especially those of you who prefer the historical camouflages or liveries. And let's go and see what this confers. There are some surprises about this plane, as we'll see shortly. The paint shop. Let's go in. Summer. Here's the camouflage, and it's 5% aircraft experience. I'm afraid there's nothing special about what you get from this. You can apply it across all of the seasons, of course. The emblem is 5% crew experience, so nothing special there. Sorry, the nose art, I should say. It's true of the emblem as well, though. Here we go. 2% crew experience. So a completely standard camouflage in terms of its benefits. And I would say personally, it's not one of the more attractive camouflages I've seen. Now, if you look in the background, you will have spotted the flag of Italy, and specifically not the flag of the Salo Republic at the end of World War II, when Mussolini had been reinstalled by the Nazis in a rump of the Italian state. This should give you a clue about what camouflage and what to expect in terms of particularly insignia on the plane if you choose not to use this special camouflage. Let's just go and quickly look at that. We'll look at the marine camouflage, and there you go. Instantly you can see the roundels are of the Aeronautica Militare and not the Regia Aeronautica, which was the Italian Air Force towards the end of World War II. This is post-war livery. So if you're looking forward to seeing fascist symbols, you're not getting them. And that's probably a good thing, in my opinion. We're not going to do that. We'll stick with the camouflage. So the next thing to go and have a look at, I guess, just before we look at the statistics, are the equipment slots. And it's interesting. Straight up, I'm going to draw your attention to the fact that there is a forward-firing weapon slot on this plane. This, I believe, is unique amongst Tier 7 fighters. I can't think of another one off the top of my head which has got this equipment slot available. And it's quite important because the guns aren't bad, as we'll see shortly when I look at the statistics of the plane, but they're not that good either in terms of their firepower. So some of you will probably be going, hurrah, because you can now increase the firepower by doing something like installing gas-operated action. We'll come on to my choices in a moment or two, but that is a real surprise. However, this benefit comes at a cost. We do not have a second slot on the airframe, which means that your choices in terms of building for maneuverability or speed are just that much more limited. So we have the cockpit slot, we have a single airframe slot, we have a single engine slot, and the surprise package here is the slot on the forward-firing weapon, unusual for fighters. What I did is I filled this with ultimate level equipment. However, it's all standard equipment. I didn't want to stuff this aircraft with either experimental equipment or special project equipment, which I could because this is my press account and I have that equipment available. Similarly with the pilot, your Italian pilot, you will have no other choices. Look, if I try and swap him out, there is no other suitable crew member unless you do something which I'll show in a moment. And what I did was I've expended free experience, which again I've got on this account, but you'll have to grind it out, or if you have the free experience, do the same as me. And I've gone for 9 skill points. I meant to actually do 8, but I've got 9. We'll come back onto pilot skills in a moment. So roughly I've set up the aircraft as you would, and I've also specialized it, of course, using tokens. This is what you're going to see is the aircraft with my choice of build, with a reasonably decent pilot, but nothing absolutely maxed out to the utmost limit. No experimental equipment, no special project equipment, no pilot with 15 skills. This is going to be fairly representative of your experience once you've got a fair way into this aircraft. At least I hope so. Let's go and look at the statistics of the aircraft, shall we? Let's bring that up so I can see it. And there are a couple of surprises on the statistics, I can tell you as well. We'll need to move me, I think. Yes, we will. Okay, let's do that as well. Deactivate that camera. Activate that one. Here we go. Right, so those of you who've seen my YouTube videos will be completely familiar with this. Basically, this is a spreadsheet with all of the Tier 7 fighters on it. The RE2005 is in columns C and D, and these are the statistics that you can see in the UI, plus some that I've generated from elsewhere, specifically GameModels3D.com, if you're interested. You may have seen some of these statistics before, because what we knew of the aircraft I displayed on streams during the weekend. However, I've now been able to fill them in, and what we've got is, at base, a rating of 19 on the weapons with cumulative DPS of 330, which is not particularly great. It's not particularly bad, as you can see. There's no red here. It's not worst in class figures. But 16 is the second worst, or third worst in class, rating 278, third worst in class there on the BF-109G Gustav. You can see that this firepower is actually towards the lower end, I would say, below average in theory, in terms of pure destructive potential. But remember, you've got that equipment slot, forward firing weapon. You can do something about this, if you wish. We just quickly look across. Unsurprisingly, the K6 is the hardest hitting aircraft at Tier 7 of the fighters. In fact, it's the hardest hitting aircraft of even Tier 8 fighters. It's a real monster. You've got the Meteor with very good weaponry as well, and right over at the end we'll have the Ki-84 Hayate, which has got a rating of 28 and 470. But if you just glance across here, you see 25s, 20s, and plenty of aircraft which are at least as good as the rating of this aircraft, the Italian one, if not better. So bear that in mind. What we didn't know about the aircraft was the range, and actually the range on the 20mm cannons is pretty good. It's getting up for 2,400 feet, and this makes the aircraft usable. Now, the fact that I'm telling you that this makes the aircraft usable should alert you to the fact that I have already flown this plane. It was actually given to me yesterday in advance of the missions being released, because the World of Warplanes team wanted feedback on the aircraft. So I've already played 10 battles in this, and I'm going to bring up in a moment a summary of how those battles went, so you can get a feel for what really happened in the real world. Just to go through it, rate of fire 420, DPS 90 per cannon. Auto angle on the hub mounted cannon is 3 degrees. That's how much you can be off target by, and the game will correct your aim for you. Dispersion angle is 0.55. This is the way that the shells spread out as they leave the muzzle of the cannon. 0.55 is pretty good. Overheat is fairly good at 8 seconds. That's pretty nice, and the shell velocity is fairly high at 1,240 feet per second as well, so you don't have to give too much lead when an aircraft is banking. There are some slight variations on the wing-mounted cannons. The auto-aim angle is down to 2, which isn't very generous. You're going to have to aim a lot more carefully. And the dispersion angle is worse, 0.65 degrees. So probably going to want to work on the accuracy here. The range on the machine guns is slightly disappointing. It could have been worse, but it's actually only 1,575 feet. So the 60 DPS that comes from the 2-bit machine guns is only going to apply at fairly short range. So you're going to be doing the majority of your work with the cannons, is the long and short of it. 700 rate of fire. Auto aim angle 3. Could be better for a machine gun, to be truthful. Dispersion angle is quite good for a machine gun at 0.7. Long burst, of course, 20. But here's the kicker. The shell velocity is only 948 feet per second, which means that if something is relatively far away, say 1,600 feet away, where your machine gun bullets, in theory, can reach, you're going to find that you're going to be probably missing with either the machine guns or with the cannons, because of the big disparity in the shell velocities of the 2 weapons groups. Well, 3 weapons groups, of which 2 are cannons. Coming on to survivability, it is as I predicted. On the website, this is rated at 9. I looked at the hit points and immediately thought that's overstated. It is. It's 7 within in the game. That's exactly what I predicted. 300 hit points is okay, but it's a light fighter. You don't really want to get hit, full stop. Damage resistance at 46 is also okay. Fire resistance at 60 is also okay. I know that's showing as best in class, but all the figures for survivability are fairly compressed. But at least they're up towards the upper end of the ranges in all cases. Airspeed. Rating is 57, and here's another surprise. We only had the boost maximum speed available to us beforehand, which is a relatively bad 416 miles an hour. I was thinking, therefore, the cruise speed would also be poor, but far from it. It is best in class, and it's best in class by quite some distance. If you scan across here, 294 is the second best. There's 3 aircraft with that. It's actually at base in cruise flight faster than the Mustang. Now this will lead you to consider what choices you've got on terms of equipment, and I'll discuss that when we come to talk about my current choices a little bit later. There's no getting away from it that this is a disappointing maximum speed under boost. And as you can see, it's actually second worst in class. So that gives you a bit of a problem. The boost duration is fairly good at 10 seconds, although it lags behind the Mustangs at 12 seconds. And the dive speed is not particularly good at 522. So if you're going to try and use this in the same way as you would a Mustang, which is my inclination, you have to understand that in some ways you're not going to be as effective. But that cruise speed is an added bonus. I honestly thought that was going to be around about 250, 260, and 321 is a really nice figure. Manoeuvrability. It is not manoeuvrable. In fact, it's pretty stiff even by high energy fighter standards. Rating is 59. If we just drop down, we'll see that it's not actually worst in class. The 2 jets are less manoeuvrable, but then you can see that even the K6 is close. The Gustav is much more manoeuvrable. The I-220 is. The Mustangs are as well. And then you start getting into the interstitial fighters, the LA-9RD and the LA-7. They're also considerably more manoeuvrable. And then you get into your turn fighters, which will outmaneuver you all day long. 11.4 seconds for a turn is very comparable to the K6, and this is all a bit disappointing. Reasonably good roll rate. Controllability is on the poor side, which means the aircraft is going to slide rather than respond really quickly to your instructions to change direction. However, there is another small and interesting feature here. It's got the range in which your characteristics do not degrade is the biggest, the best. You can see here, for 326 miles an hour, between the numbers 163 miles an hour and 489 miles an hour, your characteristics, including your manoeuvrability, will not degrade. I actually don't think that's going to help you a great deal, but it is interesting, and it could have been a lot worse. So you're not going to have to worry about, oh, I'm getting a bit slow here, I'm going to be even less manoeuvrable. You've got a big envelope in which you can operate efficiently. Altitude performance, again, as I predicted, overstated on the website, and in fact it's actually a bit less than I thought. I thought it might be about 56, 57. The rating is actually 55. We already knew 6,562 feet for the optimum altitude. I said it would be about 13,100 feet for the ceiling. There it is, 13,123. We didn't know that before. Climb rate is a relatively poor 421. The power to weight ratios are not anything to write home about either. We don't know how drag is implemented in the game, but if we can believe this power to weight ratio, the aircraft is not going to be particularly good at accelerating either. So it's going to be a bit of a gun platform, and your initial worry is probably going to be, well, how's it going to stack up against the K6, or indeed the 2 Mustangs? You're probably not going to find too many Mustangs flying around. You will find K6s, and of course the elephant in the room is, how is it going to fare against Tier 8, especially P61s? Well, my advice to you with this plane is steer clear of the P61s unless they're on the last legs and you can finish them off. We just drop down to worst in class figures. We can see the survivability figures are compressed. There's that boost maximum speed, which is second worst in class. It actually makes me wonder what's worst in class there. There it is, the Yak 3T. So not really in the same niche at all. controllability poor, minimum optimum speed, not going to worry about that. So, interestingly, these set of figures still to me suggests speed build and not maneuverability. Whether you want to try and put some maneuverability on the aircraft is up to you, but you are going to be hampered by the fact that you have the forward-firing weapon slot, which is welcome in boosting this fairly average weaponry damage output, but it's taken away a slot from the engine, I would suggest, which means that your ability to blend a speed and maneuverability build is going to be considerably less, because you've only got 2 slots to play with and not 3. Okay, I think that's enough on the statistics for the moment. Let's go and see what I actually did with the aircraft. Drop that out of the way. Come back here. And will leave me in position, but will actually change my size. So let's deactivate that. Activate that. Okay, so what I did with the aircraft, I decided to go for as much of a speed build as I possibly could. The choice, if you're going to go for a pure speed build, is what you do with the engine slot. We'll discuss that in a second. So here we've mounted the gun sight to improve the accuracy. I have not bothered to calibrate any of this equipment so far. So the figures that you will see shortly are indicative. You will be able to do better because I haven't really honed in on the bonus characteristics and I haven't improved the technological level. But here we've got 5% extra accuracy. I've increased the pilot's resistance to injuries and the chance of inflicting critical damage. Polished skin to improve the speed of the aircraft, the 6.5% cruise speed, and also 6.5% extra acceleration when diving. Drawbacks there, your maneuverability has gone a little bit, and so has the maneuverability in turns. It's not a particularly maneuverable aircraft. I tend to emphasize the strengths of the plane, but again, you might decide that you want to put on a lightweight wing frame. And when I come to do the full video, I might even try a full maneuverability build, such as you can manage with just 2 slots for comparison purposes. Again, the bonus characteristics, acceleration while diving, maximum speed with boost activated, and I've gone for your maneuverability. Again, I haven't tried to really reassemble this equipment. We'll do that kind of stuff when we come to do the full review a few days from now. Now, here's where you have to make the choice if you're going for a speed build, in my opinion. I've taken the view that the cruise speed is really good, and I'm going to make the cruise speed even better, so I've put an uprated engine on. You could take the opposite tack, and hey, you heard Dilly. Yes, just come in to say I enjoy my time outside, and you're wasting your time inside. Yes, Marcellus, it has a gun slot. We'll come on to that in a moment. And as I say, amongst Tier 7 fighters, I think it's the only one that has a forward-firing weapon slot. But coming back to this, I've taken the view that the cruise speed is excellent. I'm going to maximize the strength, so I'm going to put on an uprated engine and get that cruise speed up. You could take the view that the maximum speed under boost is so poor that, in fact, that needs addressing, in which case you're going to be putting on the combined injection boost system. Let's just see if I've got one available. I have. Just keep your eye on the airspeed here. Boost speed is 430. It is up a little from the base of 416 because of various effects. If we put on the combined injection boost system that I've got here, this is not calibrated, but it is an ultimate level piece of equipment. Now, you're going to lose cruise speed. You may not regret that, or you may. It's up to you to decide. And now, again, even with that equipment, which is not at a high technological level, you've got the boost speed up to 459. And that is a viable choice for a speed build, and I may very well try that at some point. Certainly when I come to review the aircraft, you'll probably see at least 3 builds. You'll see this one, you'll see the one with the boost mixture injection system, and then you'll probably see a maneuverability build as well, although I really don't think many people are going to opt for that. Let's just reset that. And just to emphasize the surprise package here, so that's the 3rd surprise in this aircraft. The first one being the cruise speed being best in class, the second one being that it's got a wide range in which its characteristics don't degrade, and it has this forward-firing weapon slot, and I was quite surprised. And because the output of the guns is fairly poor, rating 19, 330 DPS, I've decided to put on gas-operated action. I think the range of the weapons is pretty good, well, certainly the cannons, not the machine guns to be fair, so I don't want to put on long long gun barrels. I always say lung gun barrels for some reason. Long gun barrels. And I don't think the burst length needs increasing at 8 seconds on the cannons. So we're going to improve the DPS. Again, the technological level here is only 400. There is more to come. But if you look up here, we've now got this up to 373, and you'll be able to get that up to, I don't know, 400. You've always got the option of experimental equipment as well, if you happen to have that, or you buy it, or you have some left over from the event where we could earn experimental equipment. You could even do better than this. Quickly step through the consumables. Standard set, first aid kit. The fire resistance is good enough to allow me to mount that side, and I don't need to worry about using firefighter or fire resistance here. Pneumatic control assist for extra maneuverability, perhaps if fighting another one of these. Engine cooling, 10 seconds of extra boost if you've got some. That's on top of 10 seconds already at maximum. I think engine restart for something which you're going to probably fly as a high energy fighter, or I will be on this stream, is important. You could go for improved mixture control, because that improves the thrust and the cruise speed again, but it doesn't improve the maximum boost speed, so I opt against that. And then at least mount universal ammunition if you are the sort of person who fires gold, and I fire a fair bit of it these days. Then you'll be going for fragmentation ammunition probably. For that build, I have built Renzo Rossi with the following skills. Aerodynamics expert, which increases the effect of the equipment for speed, in this case, by 40%. It would also improve maneuverability equipment by 40%, so that's a good choice. Then I've gone for a little bit more accuracy with Marksman 1, and then I've centered on Engine Guru 1 and Engine Guru 2. So, aircraft is specialized. I think that is a fairly representative kind of build and pilot skills once you've got a little way into this plane. And I don't want to over-egg it by putting on the 15-point pilot and all the special project and experimental equipment calibrated up to the 9th degree, and make this aircraft appear better than it actually is. Let's go and see what the effects of my choices were. So we shall bring back the workbook. Here we go. So we've already had a look at the base figures. You've just seen those. Here's the effects of my choices. The difference between them in absolute terms is in column G, and then in percentage terms it's in column H. So on the guns, we've gone for more accuracy, and we've also tried to increase the DPS. What have we managed to achieve? Well, we've got the DPS up to a calculated level of 372. I think it said 373 in the UI, but you get the feeling, picture. It's up by very nearly 13%, and that's by virtue of increasing the rate of fire. We've also increased the auto-aim angle and the dispersion angles. So, for instance, we've got 3.15 on the machine guns and 0.6 dispersion angle on the machine guns. These are improvements of 5 and 14.1%, respectively. We haven't done anything with the range because we didn't put on long gun barrels. The auto-aim angle has gone up a little here, but it's not great. It's still 2.1. Very similar to the K6, incidentally. The accuracy figures are, I think, nearly identical for the cannons, even though these are 20s and the K6 has 30s. I've got the dispersion angle down to 0.56, and then similarly on the other cannon. Now remember, the equipment is not calibrated, technological level 400, not 478. You will be able to do better than this. This is just to give you a representative feel of what's going on. Because we put on the uprated engine, we've got an adverse effect of on the fire resistance. It's down by 14 points. No effect on the rating, incidentally. Now we have got the speed up to 66. This is mostly coming from a big improvement in the cruise speed. Again, there is more to come. You'll be able to push this up, getting up towards about 400, I would suggest. And it goes at 384 miles an hour. That's a 63 mile an hour increase. And we have been able to increase the maximum boost speed up to 430. When I come to do the full review, I will have an alternative build using a boost mixture injection system, and what you will see is that this figure will drop away to around about 350, and this figure will go up significantly, and you may prefer to do that if you're going for a speed build because of this fairly poor initial figure, and I will be trying that out at some point. Adverse effects on manoeuvrability, of course. Now the turn time is the same as the K6. We've actually got the roll rate up to a rather nice 171 here. That's really nice. Other effects, we've got a 5% chance of criticals off the guns. We've got an increased chance of injury to the pilot by 7%. No boost, we have a 15.5% improvement in acceleration, 5% if we are with boost. We've lost 1.8% yaw maneuverability. And the pilot is not Millie Elliott. That brings me on to another point about the pilot skills. Let's go back to the plane though. One of the features of this plane, of course, is the fact that it is in the European tech tree. What does that mean? Let's just select European aircraft there, and we'll select Tier 7, so we've got it nicely selected there. We just quickly look in the tech tree. We should see its place in the European tech tree. I actually haven't done this before. Ooh. Ooh. They haven't actually put it in the tech tree yet. Ooh, that's interesting. Well, we better go and test this then, because what I think should happen is that you can change the nation. You can. So for 100,000 credits, you could do this. I'm going to pick the USA. Sorry if you can hear a buzz in the background. That will go away shortly. In fact, I may get up and close the door. I'm going to change the nation. It should now be an American aircraft. And I should be able to pick American pilots. And who would I put in there? Well, she's not trained at the moment, but you get the idea. If you've got this aircraft assigned to America or the US, and you have a highly trained Elise Clark pilot, then you're going to get the benefit of extra maneuverability, and that's something that you can strongly consider. Similarly, you could make this aircraft British, put on Millie Elliott. You could make the aircraft German, and if you want increased damage per second when in head-ons, you could put in Charlotte von Stauben. You get the point. But the key thing here is that the aircraft can be assigned to any of the other major nations for 100,000 credits. I'm not going to do that today, but bear that in mind. It is an option for you. Let's reset this back to Italy. Let's pop in the Italian pilot again. I'm just going to get up and close the door. Perhaps that will reduce that sound. Of course, as I close the door, it's actually the washing machine and it's slowing down. Okay, right. Stand by Hungary. Okay. If Hungary gets invaded by Russia, I will. What we're going to do now is show you the results of the battles that I had yesterday very quickly, so you can get a feel for what was going on. Just bring that up. Bring that there. And what we have here is the summary of 10 battles. So I fought 10 battles in this plane yesterday, and then I gave my feedback to the World of Warplanes team. I will say I've got no idea if they will do this or not, but depending on player feedback on this plane, they are considering tweaking it. Interesting. So what we have here is battle number, then the map, then the variant, number of sectors. That's all fairly obvious stuff. The battle tier, which is quite important. In these 10 battles, I think I fought 6 as tier 8 and 4 as tier 7, which was quite a good percentage actually. So the average battle tier, as it expresses here, was 7.6. The result is here. So I lost that battle, and I lost that battle. So I actually won 7 out of 10, which was interesting. Placing, which is effectively by chevrons, the average placing I achieved was 1.6. By personal points, it was actually slightly better at 1.5. Personal points, I averaged nearly 12,000, but look at this carefully. Unsurprisingly, the tier 8 battles were considerably worse than most of the tier 7 battles, although there's a reasonably good tier 8 battle. Some of the tier 7 battles, however, were really good. There's an 18k there, there's a 19k there, and there's a 16k there. So I formed the opinion that against the right tier 7s, this aircraft is pretty powerful. Against tier 8s, it struggles. And it struggles, I think, for two reasons. Lack of speed about the map and lack of ability to knock tier 8 aircraft down, because even with that improvement in DPS, it still feels a little bit anemic. However, on average, 12,000 personal points wasn't too bad. Destroyed by defending, I averaged from very nearly 5. Aerial targets, I averaged just over 13 per game. And capture points received, I averaged just over 200. And then chevrons, I averaged 2.7. A couple of 5 chevron games there, Heroes of the Sky, as you can see. And this was with the pilot having aerodynamics, Engine Guru 1, Engine Guru 2, Marksman 1, and the build was, as I said, gunsight, polished skin, uprated engine, and gas-operated action. So, make of that what you will. The aircraft is viable. That's what I will say. I certainly didn't think it was overpowered. And my comments back to World of Warplanes was that I actually like the aircraft like this. I think it's a bit of a challenge to fly. If you're looking to spend money on certificates, then maybe you'd want a bit more from the plane. Or maybe you'd take my viewpoint. But do be careful. I don't think this aircraft is overpowered. I never expected it to be. What I will say is I think it's a bit better than I feared it would be. At least on those 10 games, that's what I felt. We're about to find out whether I think the same after playing it today. Let's close that down. And having said all that, who's ready for me to fly it? Well, I am. Let's go. I was wondering what the people who came up against me yesterday thought when they saw this aircraft in battle ahead of the missions starting a few minutes ago. There were definitely a couple of players who took a look at me and then chased me all over the map. It wasn't so bad though. I didn't get focused in the way that I thought I might. So what have we got first? We have a tier 7 battle to start with, and Focke-Wulf I can outmaneuver, K6, got to be careful with that, ME410, A26B, and then XP55, got to boom and zoom that really. This is a benign first battle in terms of its order of battle. Let's go off and find out what's going to happen today. I see I'm obstructing the map. When I get a chance, perhaps when I'm first destroyed, I will move my camera. Let's get stuck in. Didn't really connect there, so no surprises. I didn't get an awful lot of damage. I am going to turn with bots. No worries about that. Okay, team is competent, so I didn't get to do a great deal there. So let's get this camera moved. Much better. Right, let's go and see what gives at the airfield. Okay, so I may have a good team here. On the evidence of how quickly they took that, although to be fair, we may have just swarmed it. Haven't really seen the cannons do their work yet. So there you go. Not the bludgeoning power of the K6, but decent enough. But remember, I've improved it by using forward-firing weapon slot and gas-operated action. Okay. And I made a mistake there. I shot at the wrong thing. And I let the K6 get a bead on me. I should have been shooting the K6. I was trying to show you how the guns would demolish ADAs. Okay, we've nearly got that. With a bit of luck we'll capture it before I have to spawn in again. That's exactly what's happened. See if we can get some defence done. Now I'm expecting to get a little bit of focus here because people will be going, oh, wallet warrior, let's take you down a peg because you've used your wallet and we've got to go through a huge grind. It's the nature of the beast. We will understand that. And I do find the range, which is considerably more than the... Oh, thank you. Range of the Mustangs very helpful. So that's 2,400 feet, more or less, give or take. They've managed to destroy that. Right, I think we need to try and get off and do something about another sector. Or I could just shoot the... Well, I'm going to have to, because he's just decided I'm his target. Second burst, can afford to really plaster it, and again. And this is really awkward because that's been destroyed. I think it might be smart if I got out of here and tried to take another sector. Probably this one. Feel especially comfortable going after ADA heavies, but we've got Fighter on my tail. The XP-55 this time. Well, he's not doing much good defending over there. Mind you, they are ahead, so I might have been better following the bomber flight in here, actually. Anyway, I now get myself a nice, healthy aircraft, having suffered 2 rams from my own teammates. Bomber flights should eventually grind down one of these sectors. You'd have thought so. Neither bomber is really within reach. I'm going to go for it anyway. The awkward having that double ram. 32. I would like to go for it. It's a bit high for me. We've actually lost the airfield. That is pretty poor, considering we've had control of the airfield in our command centre for this long in the game. We've actually not made it pay. And I think what's happening is the ME-410 is neglected to go after the B-32. Okay, so we have to now take other sectors. Okay, we've got one, but we're now even further behind, so we're going to need a third. It's a little bit far away. K6 there. It's the K6. That's not good. Ah! He only landed one shot. And of course, in today's meta, that means it's almost certainly going to be the tail, which means he now kills me instead of me outmaneuvering. That is so frustrating. It's not anything to do with the plane itself. It's everything to do with the criticals in the game. Nowadays, if you go in and try and avoid somebody so you can outplay them, and I would have been able to outplay him, they just simply critical you so you can't actually do that. Which is why I think so many of the CIS players go for rams, because they don't believe they're going to be allowed to outmaneuver an aircraft. So I think the first thing to do is pick off this B-32. I'm going to have to really push myself up into the sky. If I do get him, then he's not coming back. But I'm a bit frustrated with our ME410, who appears to have paid him no attention whatsoever. Having said that, I'm not sure he's been that much of a factor. Probably not. The problem is he could take the scepter. I'm really frustrated with that critical, but it happens so often these days. He's up too high for me, I can't get him. I wish the ME410 would come and do his job and kill this plane. I can't sit behind him. Even a B-32. The ME410 just seems supremely uninterested. I suspect that may be him down there. Okay. We're killing stuff outside of the sectors, which is not good. My team is nowhere in the middle. Look at this. There's nobody in the middle. And we're now 3 sectors to 1 down. Well played to the enemy team. They just played a lot better than we did. And again, you see, even the bots doing them straight into a critical. It's almost guaranteed these days, and that's why people don't do what I used to do. Used to weave about in front of aircraft, make them miss, get round behind them, shoot them down. You can't do that anymore. The criticals stop you from doing that. So I'm a little bit surprised we lost that. Especially as we got control of these sectors reasonably quickly. I really expected to push on and take at least one of these. Well played to the enemy team. They never lost these garrisons whatsoever, and they were able to push us back. I think that's probably the worst Tier 7 battle I've had, which is why I took the precaution of showing you the results that I'd had previously, in case this happened. I am frustrated, though, that I went for the K6, expecting to outmaneuver him, and he landed one shot, and it took my tail off. This happens so often these days. It's incredibly frustrating that you can't outplay people because of the criticals in the game these days. We'll probably now get a run of Tier 8 battles. And this aircraft, I think, is anemic in Tier 8 battles. You have to really think about it. And if you come up against, as you probably will today, massed ranks of P-61s, you are really going to struggle. Certainly one P-61 there. P-61 there. I'm on the airfield side, so let's go and see what we can do. Not particularly interested in the centre at the moment, so we're going to go and try and take down the airfield. Tricky ADA's heavies to knock down. Where's the other one? Oh, that's a really nasty pincer movement I've got on me. That's actually the worst pattern to cope with, and they managed to pincer you. As you can see, some nice damage output, even on Tier 8 ADAs. There we go. Right, let's go and get repairs. Let's go and see what else we want to do. Okay. Team normally, the bots almost always flood towards the middle here. I always think that's the wrong thing to do, but you can't tell bots anything. The team's been a little bit slow getting itself in the middle. Maybe because the enemy has been making quite significant efforts. Decided to take the Typhoon head on. Now in theory it can outturn me, but it's a bot, so I'm going to risk that it doesn't. And they have actually taken this, which is unfortunate, but I see that the reason why we weren't here is because we were busy taking their local airfield. That's fine. Let's go and defend our airfield for the moment. What's behind me? Don't need to worry about that for the moment. Okay, 6 and 2s. Oh, this could be oh, we've got it anyway. I was going to say, this is a gift. Ground attacker flying across. Oh, and I've just run into a problem here. Right, let's see if we can run away from the Spitfire. Remember, the boost speed is not particularly good on this. So he's staying with me for the moment. In fact, he's actually gaining on me, and he's still gaining on me unless that's not the Spitfire anymore. I'm out of boost, and he's only now falling behind. So you can see that the classic way of escaping that you might use with the Mustang is not really working here. I can't believe he's managed to get up to 7,000 feet. Okay, so the secondary condition for getting rid of a player pursuing you is to hope that your bots or your team will take advantage of the low energy configuration player and shoot him. That's what happened there. But as you can see, I really struggled to get away from him. I shouldn't be going for the P61. That's foolish. Let's go and get repairs. If the P61 was at a disadvantage in the fight it was in, I would have probably think it's chasing me. In which case I'm going to ask for help from the bots. He is chasing me, so what I actually am not going to go into the sector, get repairs. He actually turned away, was he engaged by something else? So now I really should go and get repairs, but he who hesitates is lost. Let's try and get a little bit of damage into the P61. Now he can outturn me, except that I've got his wings, so I'm going to risk... Oh, Wargaming, please fix this. Guns firing off target after a turn. That's not a very well flown P61. But that's frustrating that the guns won't come on target. That's a bug which I'm going to bring up with the developers. This sudden problem where the guns don't aim properly out of a turn. You used to see it on ground attackers a lot. Never saw it on heavies and light fighters and the like, but you are seeing it now, and that was really awkward there, where the guns just wouldn't come to bear. Yeah, that's another sector captured. And now maybe I should go and get those repairs. You can do a lot of good work with one hit point though. Okay, this game is not over yet. I'm on the wrong side of the map. As you can see, my team has gone over here. That's not really surprising. I'd like to attack here, but nobody is with me. It'd be probably foolish to go in there on my own. So we're going to have to fly across the map to find stuff to do. Perhaps defend this centre a bit. Perhaps pick off aircraft over the air base, which I think we're about to lose, although I would suspect that we're going to take that sector. We've got a big lead anyway, so we should be alright. Oh, the P-61's over there. Well, I would be foolish to fly in. Mind you, that's the P-61. He's very badly damaged. That's the TU-1. But if I'm going to get anything else out of the game, maybe it's killing the TU-1. I'd be very lucky to kill the P-61 a second time, although he's getting significantly harassed, to be fair. And the TU-10 is dogfighting. Oh, there you go. That, I think, is going to be fairly typical of your Tier 8 battles. You're going to often struggle to get into them. That was a particularly bad example, because I got myself isolated on one side of the map and my team were right over the other side. On the other hand, you saw that I was able to take down a badly flown P-61, which I didn't necessarily expect. I think that's the first P-61 I've shot down with this. So performance. I think the key thing to take away from that battle was actually right at the end, when I was over the wrong side of the map. There was nothing going on. I didn't have the speed, even with that excellent cruise speed, to get into another sector where I could do some work. There are going to be periods, I feel, when you're flying this plane and it's just going to feel underwhelming. And that's particularly going to be the case in Tier 8 battles. There are going to be Tier 7 battles where you bludgeon things, as you saw from some of those results with 19k and 18k in the first 10 battles yesterday at Tier 7. There will be battles where you can be dominant at Tier 7, but at Tier 8, that's going to be rare. Of course, the other thing is that yesterday we weren't having everybody and his dog flying OP aircraft in pursuit of the missions that started this morning, and indeed now working on the Reggiane 2005 missions. So we're now fighting a lot of very seriously good aircraft. So we've got a K6 here again. One of the key counters to this plane, I think, is going to be the P-51D, but how often do you get to see a P-51D these days? Very rarely, and quite often when it's stock, so you should be okay against that plane. K6 is going to be a big nuisance to this plane. I needn't say that the P-61 is going to be a big nuisance to this plane, because it's a big nuisance to every plane. What's the other one? Leave him alone for a start. Not going to turn with that. Let's see if we can get back in. Get that LA out. Taking some damage from the ground attacker. Gonna get... Oh, he's out, very nearly out of range. Actually, I would say he was out of range there, and he still managed to get a shot into my wing, which is another frustration. P-39N1 is massively overextended, but we've helped take the centre here. And of course, one of the things you'll also have to remember is yesterday people hadn't really picked up on the fact that I was flying an RE2005. Today you can see they're going, oh, I shoot RE2005. They're focusing me. There's 3 of them there, all chased me out of the sector, so we get the sector. So the games are going to be a little more gritty, perhaps. Let's see if we can get... I'm going to wait to see if we can just capture this before I spawn in. I may not get the choice. It just got flipped as I spawned in. Never mind. So it doesn't really matter what sort of plane you're in. If you're getting focused by 2 or 3 of the enemy team, you're not going to do well generally. And that's probably what's happening today. And certainly I got the feeling that I was being focused by at least 2, if not 3 players there. And that's not surprising. Everybody wants the kudos of shooting down the new plane, don't they? Especially somebody they think is a wallet warrior and has paid his way through it. Something else you're shooting at. I was wondering why my bullets weren't registering there. A5 clearly got shot down, or perhaps managed to get off and go get repairs, because I'd left him on a very sorry state. Oh, I've done it anyway, or somebody else has. It's a bit of revenge. Perhaps shouldn't have turned against this. It shouldn't have, but in doing so I've set him up for somebody else. So no harm done. Good long burst there. Okay, and nobody bothered to take the K6 off my tail. What are we going to do now? We're going to try and protect the middle. Again, this time we've got a dominant team, so the games are not as hard contests as they were yesterday. That doesn't surprise me. The more players you get in the game, the more likely you are to get a rout or a stomp. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this game. And as we know, the skill levels of the players differ widely, and if you happen to get the less skilled players on one team, then you're in that rout or stomp situation. Plenty of firepower to take down that bomber. This one will fall quite easily provided I'm not pounced on by something. Yeah. Oh, that actually happened after he'd got past me as far as I was concerned. It's almost like I flew through his bullet, which was lagging behind him. And even the lack of mobility in this situation is not a hindrance, because in a in a furball, and we are the furball, you'll find that players aren't necessarily maximising their chances against you, but against another aircraft, and that will give you an opportunity. Pinch that off me. And there we go. A battle which my team completely dominated, and I still came away with 13,000 personal points. This is what you can expect in Tier 7 battles if your team is at least competent. You should be able to rack up pretty decent scores with this plane. As I say, it's where it comes against tier 8, you're probably going to find that the plane is a bit lackluster. Now, I think with the gas-operated action, the firepower is good enough. So I suggested to Wargaming that if they were thinking of tweaking the aircraft, the things that they should look at are the boost speed, maximum boost speed, and perhaps a little bit of the manoeuvrability. But we don't know that's what we're going to do. However, I can tell you it's in their mind. They're a little bit worried that the aircraft may not be... I mean, for all I know, they could be nerfing something, but I think it's somewhat unlikely. But I think they're a little bit worried the aircraft isn't what they thought it might be, as far as I can tell. Okay. Let's fly in a different livery. Just for variety's sake. Let's put on the other liveries. Hello from Ukraine. Hello to you. I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Sergey Budstorov. I've said that really badly, but it's somewhat right, so best I could do. This looks like a tier 8 battle. Oh, I'm being favoured here. Well, that's another tier 7 battle. Okay, but a pretty bad map for me. B-32 is difficult to knock down. Should be competitive with that. He could get sniped from nowhere. Can't turn that, so I have to boom and zoom it, or rather slash and burn, as I call it. Slash and burn that as well, probably. Let's get for the middle. We'll try and get the tactical advantage. There's not much I can do at the mining plants at the moment. Get some altitude. You can just look at it, you can see, here we go, livery of the Aeronautica Militare, the post-war Italian Air Force. Whilst I'm looking at my livery, navel gazing, the enemy, the ADAs are trying to shoot my teammates down. I think I should probably address that. That was nearly catastrophic, wasn't it? I don't want to chase that necessarily. I just want to keep my eye on it. Nice little fire. Is probably dead, so let's go for this one. And it looks like I've got another fairly dominant team at the moment. Watch out, we may be getting more dilly squeaks in a moment. Certainly not charging off to fight an XP-55. Let's go and see if we can help my team capture this. No need, but we can eliminate the threats here. Yep, love the dominant team. And of course, during the events, this is going to be the pattern. You're going to find that because everybody has crawled out of the woodwork to play the event and get the crates, you're going to have teams of widely disparate abilities, and you're going to get a lot of routes and stomps. This is a distinctly different feel to the game from yesterday, I can tell you. Do I want to attack that? He's probably looking at the ground attacker, isn't he? So I can get a good few shots into him. Well, I would if I could aim. I'm amazed by that, actually. Out of range of his guns, so I'll be furious if I now get a critical. So hammerhead it over. If he's been watching, he'll make it difficult for me as I come down. Luckily for him, he gets a fire, and that does for him. I don't really want to go in and take the last sector, but it's not great else to do. I may have turned one for the wrong aircraft here. Yeah, did. Let that get behind me. Fortunately, he's busy with something else. Nobody's going to do particularly well out of this battle. Can have a pretty good rear gun at the TU1, so I'm quite pleased that I've killed that. And game's over. No more to be done. What can I say? In control from start to finish. Enemy team. We're never in it. Compared to yesterday, the aircraft is underperforming, but that's because of the nature of the battles. All of these battles have been fairly lopsided. That said, if you get into competitive battles, do I think this plane is OP? I certainly don't. In fact, rather the reverse. I think this is edging towards where the plane is like an old-fashioned premium, where it's slightly worse than its counterparts. And that may be what's on Wargaming's mind, because they're asking you to buy certificates for this, and it has some interesting features. That cruise speed is really good. The forward-firing weapon slot is a real surprise, but it's not quite as good as some of the reward aircraft that we've seen recently. I prefer that personally, but if you're thinking of lashing out cold hard cash for this plane, what you've seen so far probably won't have encouraged you particularly, and I think you'd probably be right. Good pilots will be able to do reasonably well in this plane at all times. Average pilots, I think, are going to struggle with it a bit, particularly when it's stock. And we're back in the Tier 8 battle. ME-262, BBP-210, RB-17. We've got one as well. This is largely going to be about the RB-17s, which isn't really the thing that concerns me. Got a Key 84, it's not specialised, but it'll still outturn me. We'll give the airfield a go initially. We'll try and take out the high-level stuff and see if we can get stuff below us. I'm slightly concerned about not going to the military base, and if I see that the RB-17 isn't going there, I will definitely change my mind. Okay, there's a ground attacker and bomber heading towards there, but is it the RB-17? Or is the RB-17 going to play for the airfield? Which I always think is a bad play, but I'm no bomber expert, so maybe I should just hold my counsel on that score. Prefer to take out the heavy that's going after our bomber, rather than the one that dived. We've got the airfield, that's good. We've also got the military base. Okay, so everything's worked out fine so far. Key 84, I want to spatter this if I can. Got a piece of him, certainly help kill him. I don't really feel that this is the greatest aircraft for defence. In certain circumstances, yes, but mostly, for instance, at an airfield, I'd be very wary of doing that. Okay, let's pick up repairs, because I did actually trade with the Fokker Wolf a little bit before I decided it wasn't a good idea. Now then, a couple of heavies coming in. We're comfortable against heavies, except that I wasn't watching. I didn't think he was after me. But then, as I said, I'm suspecting today that if people see an RE2005, they're going to want to try and trophy hunt a bit. Yeah, loads of rockets. He's turned back into the airfield. And I think he's just going to keep doing this until he gets me. So I'm going to take him really low. Make it difficult for him to manoeuvre. Also get repairs. And he's probably now decided it's not worth it. And he probably wasn't. A little bit concerned that we're going to lose our military base. But I'm not a little bit concerned, I'm very concerned. That guy's probably got the rockets, so I can't afford to go at him head on. Didn't fire them. Looks like we should take their military base fairly soon. We need to turn away from their spawn though. And again, another game we're not getting to do very much. Seems to be a feature of the games today. Yesterday, busy, plenty to do. Today, come on guys, take their military base for crying out loud. And we're losing control of this game. We are seriously losing control of this game. Finally taking the military base. Go away from me, no surprises there. Absolutely have to hang on to this until my team can establish some sort of control. Wow. I'm going over here. This is team hunting damage, I think, and not defending, which again you're going to have to expect. Let's go and see if we can help over here and try and get this military base under our control. SP-72, you should be able to outmaneuver that. So you're just sitting in front of it and letting it shoot you. I may be clearing out the air defence aircraft here, but my team just isn't attacking. This is a key sector and there's no one here. Oh, I beg your pardon, there is a bomber. Is it the bot bomber? It's RB-17. Okay, I've done a good job because he actually is fairly low on health. So he will have needed not to have been shot. Do what I can by taking out guns. My team is well and truly thrown this battle though. We were completely on. That was an example of the aircraft sliding. Instead of responding to my instruction to avoid the pylon, it just carried on. And you might remember I said the controllability figure was quite low on this plane. And there was a perfect example. I instructed it to turn away from the pylon. It just kept going straight on. Didn't actually hold us back a great deal from capturing that sector. But we're in all sorts of trouble now. So the controllability figure, if I remember, is 81 point something or other, 81.5, 81.9, something like that. This is quite a low figure, and it means that the aircraft will do things as you've just seen, where it slides through the air instead of turning. And it's my fault for cutting it too fine. But I fully expected to be able to avoid that pylon, and I just simply flew straight into it. Oh, I don't believe he managed to catch me with that last shot. Auto-aim can be a real nuisance sometimes. Must be somewhere near killing. No, we're not anywhere near killing them all. Okay. We've actually been losing when they've had one player down, apparently. Where can I make a difference? No point in going to our military base. It's either going to get defended by what's there or it won't. I will make no difference, so I'm going to sit here. Oh, now we've lost the military base despite having 4 aircraft there. Unbelievable. They all got shot down. That is unbelievable. And this game's lost. I can prep this sector, but I don't think we're going to actually take it. I can't believe we lost our military base there. There seem to be so many of our planes there. It looked like we had a good chance of defending it, but nope. He's just not taking damage, is he? Look how quickly the other one goes down. That's something else I wish the wargaming would fix. Excuse me? I was going to say, surely that flips this. It's all too late, though. Absolutely cannot believe we didn't defend that. Another example of the plane struggling at tier 8 to make an impact. It just can't get where it needs to be quickly enough, and it can't knock tier 8s down quickly enough either. Which makes a big score in a tier 8 battle rather unlikely. As I say, against tier 7s in the right battle, you will be able to dominate battles in this plane if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you probably won't. But against tier 8s, I think even the best of pilots are going to struggle to make really good scores. Tricky. Yeah, well played to him. Did we have a heavy? Okay. Not the greatest contributions. I suspect their RB-17 was allowed to do more than he should have been. Not much I could do against the ME-262, just far too fast. You saw it come in at me a couple of times, and it was gone before I was able to turn and shoot it. Okay. So, I hope this is helping you decide if you'd like to spend money on certificates for this plane. As it stands, I think a lot of you are probably going to say, no, don't think I'm going to spend money on this plane. You're not going to get something that is grossly overpowered. It doesn't necessarily even dominate tier 7 battles, though it can. I've yet to have a dominant battle at tier 8. I've been able to make contributions, quite important contributions, but what I haven't been able to do is be the top dog in a tier 7 plane. And to be fair, you shouldn't be the top dog in a tier 7 plane in a tier 8 battle, but it really does feel like it's struggling. We'll try the airfield. I've got to be careful that my heavies don't support me and I get this pair coming in at me. Let's see what we can do. Hope that fire will take it out. It's been taken out anyway. Good. Should be an easy kill for someone. It's for me, fortunately. And now here they come. I wanted to focus the heavy, but can't really in this situation. Hoping I've got enough teammates here to take what's ever on my tail off. Answer is not really. Job is a good one. He's now shooting me. Probably didn't need to repair the engine there, to be fair. I could probably have got repairs from the base. Okay, and repairs is exactly what I need now. So I did actually get some help there. And it was just as well, because whilst I did an important job in taking down that ME-410, I was very vulnerable to at least 2 aircraft behind me. Right, however, what's the battle situation? 2-1 up. Okay. I need to address the Yak 9. It's a very nice fire I've got there. Unfortunately, I've turned at exactly the wrong moment. Just soon by him. And that's silly. That's the Meteor. Funny enough, I could have outturned the Meteor. I should have looked. I really should have looked there. Meteor would have been one plane I could have taken out. Okay, it's 2 sectors all now. We look like we're favourites to take that, but it's not a given. We ought to go off and try and do some work here. The team is being stupid. Look at this. Mind you, I've done this as well. I've flown towards the spawn. But that's silly. They're flying towards the spawn. Even if they get those planes, they're going to probably find other planes on top of them. And that was a golden opportunity to take this on flight, having just been in. Which is just as well, because we've... hoping that was his engine. Was. I can get 4,000 feet away, come in and do him again. Well, not even 4,000. Now they're favored to take this, so we need to go and retake our command centre. Full health, let's go and help at the command centre. Struggling a little bit for hit registration today. I wonder if that's because of all the players in the game. Where did the ground attacker go? I think all the threats have gone there. We should be able to take that now. Let's go back and see if we can defend this. And we've just lost it. There is one piece, there's 2 pieces actually. Let's see how damaged they are. Let's see if I can help this process. Probably not. And there we go, we'll take it. Now we're actually 3-2 down. We have a bit of a problem with our garrison as well. We're now 4-1 down. Right, so we've lost control of this battle completely. Having been on top. We took far too long to take that command centre, and that's despite the fact I shot down 2 EDAs there. Very, very, very slow to capture it. Okay. I want to turn, but I can't because the XP-55 stops me, and this is a problem because I've now got 4 aircraft all turned for me, one of which can outturn me, and I need help here, and I don't think I'm going to get it. Got to shoot down what I can here. Score line's in as well, so there's the cheeky meteor that shot me down before. And finally I do go down to the XP55 because nobody's there to shoot it down. It's going to be on a knife edge there. That was a real shame there. They got 4 aircraft into the middle. We've managed to take out 2 of them, but the XP55 glued onto me. I needed someone to take that one off the tail whilst I disposed of other aircraft, and nobody did, unfortunately. Are we likely to lose this battle? We are probably going to lose it because I don't see any way we're going to hold on to this. And we've only got a B-32 left now, so we're definitely not going to win this battle. The XP-55 hasn't done particularly well, but by virtue of being last man standing, he's going to win the battle for his team. That was really awkward there. I had 4 aircraft to contend with. All three of them I felt comfortable turning against, but the XP-55 stopped me from doing that. And nobody shot the XP-55, and I couldn't get onto him. And he's reloading, so we're not going to. He's flying off to reload. If we were to get this in the next 30 seconds or so, we would probably still win. But I'm pretty sure that signifies the B-32 is reloading, so it's not going to happen. I'm going to watch this one, see how it pans out. Hello, Sergeant Sack, how are you? It's coming in for a road, and now we are just still fractionally ahead, but it'll be level after this. He really needs to make sure he takes this on this pass. If he doesn't, provided he doesn't get shot down, we may win this now. What a tight battle. Tight, tight, tight. Good job. We actually come away with the win. Okay, so I fought hard there, and as you can see, first again, very nearly 14,000 personal points. Difficult battle there, a little bit upset at the end, but there was nothing I can do about it. We've got just 4 of them flew in at the same time. That was unlucky. 3 of them I could have coped with. The XP-55 I could have coped with if I'd been allowed to fly away from it, but if I'd tried to fly away, the meteor would have chased me down. But it's a win. Even amongst the indifferent play that we're seeing, we're still pulling out some good, reasonably good scores. But it's a good job I showed you the 10 battles from yesterday where the scores were considerably better at Tier 7. Not so much at Tier 8. This aircraft is not competitive really at Tier 8. And some of you will be saying, well, no Tier 7 should be that competitive at Tier 8, and I would agree with that. But since you're being asked to shell out money for certificates, others of you may actually think that's not right. Okay, let's go again. So as you can see, no fasces insignia. We have the insignia of the Aeronautica Militare, the post-war Italian Air Force, and not the Regia Aeronautica, the World War II Italian Air Force. Hello Dees, how are you? Why not on Twitch? Because this gets recorded and is available immediately as a video on YouTube. I will be doing a full review of the aircraft a few days hence, once I've experimented with it a little bit. At the moment I've got a speed build on it. But if you want to see all that good stuff, go and have a look at the front end of the video where I talk about the statistics, interesting features of the aircraft. If I did this on Twitch, it would take me forever and a day to upload to YouTube. And here we are with the Tier 8 battle, P-61, which this airplane really, I really don't see how this aircraft, unless you did this. Full manoeuvrability build with experimental or special project equipment, and change it to America, change the plane to America, which you can do, and put Elise Clark in the plane, and then you just might be able to outturn the P-61s. I think it'd be a closer run thing. I'll show you that in the review video that I do when I get a chance to do the review video. This one is all about what are the base statistics of the aircraft, which I did at the front end of the stream. What were my choices? What were the effects? What were the surprises about the aircraft? Cruise speed, for instance. Cruise speed is excellent. The equipment slots are a surprise. We have a forward-firing weapon slot, which is the only Tier 7 fighter that has that. Can't be too many fighters that have got it at any tier. I haven't checked that. And also there's a very wide range in which the aircraft's characteristics don't degrade, the best of any Tier 7 fighter. Is it worth me chasing him? There's damage, I suppose. Very much looks like that's AFK though, doesn't it? Should do for him, and does. Maybe looks like it's coming in ultra quick. Use its speed against it to make it go past me. Didn't actually go past me at that kind of speed, much speed, to be truthful. Made it very easy for me to find a shot on it. Right, so having been AFK previously, this guy's now in. Just slightly out of range. I'm going to leave it to the pursuing pack. I'm going to go off and pick up. Okay, maybe not. Looks like we're going to swap military bases. And this is another one of those games where it looks like we've got a team that's grossly on top of the enemy. How did you sneak in there? And how I just turned stupidly? Yes, I did turn stupidly. And then classic. I can turn against the Sea Fang, but I can't because the Yak's there, and the Sea Fang therefore gets to shoot me for free. Double aircraft combination. Don't quite know where my team went. They're probably all off hunting damage for the missions, aren't they? To get the crates. The standard of play today in terms of tactics has been considerably lower than when I flew this aircraft yesterday. Just to explain, I was given the aircraft early yesterday and played 10 battles in it. World of Warplanes team wanted some feedback about how the aircraft felt, which I've duly delivered. Let's get some altitude. We're going at the airfield. Basically, I'm shooting this because I think we all have to gang up on it. Nice fire. He's actually more manoeuvrable than me, incidentally. Probably. Wow. Got the P-61 down, and yet we've made virtually no impression on the airfield. That surprises me. Game has turned completely around, I see. Probably because people aren't playing tactically but hunting damage and targets and mission objectives. Well played. I didn't really think he'd be able to get away from me there. He did. Seriously? Some frustration. Oh, rear. Come on, team. Completely thrown another battle away. And this is the function of all the missions and crates, isn't it? People just playing horrendously badly from the point of view of tactics because they're desperate to try and achieve goals and rates and progress on the mission for this plane, I guess. So in that sense it's going to be a really unsatisfying month. It always is during the course of these events. And we're now really, there's very little explanation for this. We're now losing to superiority, a game that we largely were winning 4-1 for most of the game, and this is entirely because the team is playing not to win but to achieve goals which have been set for missions, and I'm wasting my time chasing that aircraft. He's outside of the sector. We have lost this game. The game that we were winning extremely easily, we are now going to lose. And I personally find this incredibly frustrating. That's just crazy that we lost that game. And that's got to be a function of everybody paying not the slightest bit of attention to the game-winning conditions and just hunting damage, hunting targets, flying all over the map, trying to get things done for crates and advancing the mission on the Reggiane. And it's so frustrating if you're trying to win a battle and you get a team that just throws a game like that. You're going to see a lot of this, I'm afraid. You're going to have to suck it up. The other thing it's doing is it's also meaning that people aren't where you expect them to be. So, for instance, yesterday, where I was pretty sure I knew where I would find the targets that I could shoot. Today, I haven't got an idea, I haven't got a clue. So I can be at an airfield and nothing comes into the airfield, and they're all off somewhere else. You know, so the 19,000s, the 18,000s, the 16,000s, which I posted in my Discord, we're nowhere near that today. We're not getting anywhere at all, near it at all, even in tier 7 battles, because it's actually quite hard to find enemies. Also, the swarming behaviour is in evidence, which wasn't really a factor yesterday, and that's where the enemy team just flies around all together. This old-fashioned CIS idea that if you all stick together, it's better. It obviously isn't, but they still do it to a degree. It's actually not as bad as it used to be. But we're yet to have a really, really good battle in this plane today. Yesterday I turned out 3 within 10 battles. All at tier 7 though. None of them at tier 8. Bomber spam. Here we go with the bomber spam. Not very much I can do against those. This aircraft is not really suitable for knocking down anything but severely damaged bombers when they're specialised in human and tier 8. And we have no heavy. They have a P-61 as well. If they don't win this, it'll be because they completely abandoned any idea of trying to win the game in whilst chasing damage. But in theory, looking at this, under normal circumstances, this is a rout waiting to happen. Never be sure. Play through the battle and find out. In terms of aircraft, they've got a huge advantage. He's coming straight for me. I need to get out of the set because I'm pretty sure he's going to turn just for me. Yep. So I need to pull him out. I'm not even going to try. As long as I'm outside of the sector and he's just flying after me, I'm happy. Just seen a pair of bombers going there. The heavy's going after them. Hope one of our RB-17s can flip that plant pretty quickly. Right. Clear environment apart from this plane. Not making much of an impression on that plant. Looks like the bomber may have been shot down. Yeah. Did get shot down. I'm going to go off and try and take this, put the pressure on this way. There's going to be lots of people hanging around the centre and they'll probably be more agile than me. So I need to get off and do something else that's more useful for the team. Such as trying to capture this garrison. Yeah, we've made no impression on the plant whatsoever. I lost him against the background there. Okay, job well done. Close to taking the plant now, but we've now lost the command centre. Now we're 4-1 up, so I'm going to go back into the airfield to see if we can possibly save it. If not, we'll go off to the command centre and see if we can take it. Fortunately, I've got deep into the airfield before we lost it. means I don't get to do what I would have liked to do, which is go off to the command centre instead. Don't want that bomber to get repairs if we can avoid it. I'm actually going to try and hunt him down regardless of what's behind me. No, couldn't do it. Too many of them. We're going to lose that anyway. I wouldn't have been able to stop the capture of that, in all fairness. I was just thinking if I got the bomber down we might be able to hold on to that for a bit longer, but in all truth, given the amount of planes they've got over there, that's not going to happen. Okay, we'll need to flood the centre. It's not actually a rout, but we're on the wrong end of the game because we haven't been able to hold the plant for long enough. And to be fair, they've got 3 bombers and a P-61 against our 2 bombers, so I don't know how we were supposed to win this. Except by them being inept. Have to shoot the P-61 for preference. Hoping he doesn't turn very well. Doesn't. It's lucky for me, but I've probably thrown away my aircraft in order to get him out. I really need help here, and there is no one helping me. P-61 isn't actually doing too well, but they're just able to swarm and swarm and swarm. Because they've got that extra bomber advantage, we just can't make it count. I will say neither of our 2 RB-17s are doing particularly well here. I think I could have done a lot better in an RB-17. Especially given that the P-61 isn't the kind of factor that we might have expected him to be. So wait. Taking a chance here in order to get him out after the score line. I'm hoping that's what I've just done. And that 0 wasn't a lie. Damaged that. I was hoping to get repairs as well. I need to kill the A7M, but I think he's going to probably, if he turns, he'll kill me. Okay. Yeah. Never had control of the plant long enough. Not a rout, which I thought it would be, looking at that order of battle. That's principally down to the fact that I think that the P-61 wasn't effective. Looks like he may have jumped into another aircraft as well. Yeah. But again, first, in a Tier 8 battle, that tells you all you need to know. Well, first by chevrons anyway. Yeah, the RB-17s weren't effective enough there. Yeah, Sergeant Zach, you're going to have to accept that during the next month or so, whilst people are playing the missions for this plane, you're just going to see all sorts of behaviours which are not directed to winning a battle. People will be chasing their goals for first the crates, and once they've got the crates, they'll be pursuing their goals for the missions for the this plane. And what that means is that you're just going to see an awful lot of battles being thrown, battles being routs, battles being stomps. Lots of players in the game, particularly on the EU server, who simply haven't got a clue what they're doing and are basically cannon fodder. If you get them all on your team, it's going to be horrible. It's just the way it is. When you get a free plane and crates on offer, this always happens. Okay. Let's continue going. The quality of the battles is far worse than it was yesterday. Yesterday I was able to impose myself on tier 7 battles. Today I just haven't any of the tier 7 battles. I just haven't had a team that supports me at all. It's just the way it goes sometimes. But just to give you a flavour, Sergeant Zach, I've posted in my Discord images of a 19k and an 18k game. I also had a 16k game in this plane yesterday. But today we're not getting anywhere near that because the standard of play is so much lower. Okay. Going to be interesting. Lots of threats. There's a big threat. Need to watch out for that. Again, another XP-55 I can't outturn. Okay. Support the bomber and ground attacker over here if I can. If I wanted sheer damage, I'd probably want to go there. We've got it anyway, so it doesn't matter. He has to go for the bombers. Which means he has to open himself up to me and yak something or other here. Now, what did I get? I wanted engine. I got wing. Well, that's okay. Means I get to do a hammerhead turn on him. Attack from above. He's watching. It can be difficult to avoid, especially when you've got a broken wing, that kind of attack. Seriously wanted a critical now. The problem I've got now is I can outturn the XP-54, but I've got the XP-55 at the same time as well. This has been a feature of the games today. I keep getting combinations which I can't handle. Double aircraft combinations. One-on-one I can beat them. Together I can't. However, for once I did get support from my team. The XP-55 was disposed of, and I've killed the XP-54. Too late swimming, and given the amount of health I had there, I really don't mind. We need to go here and help. We need at least one of these plants. I know we've got both of the command centres, but we probably won't hold them both. We can't afford to let them get both plants if possible. Is that on the NA server, Sergeant? Because as I say, I think the experience on the EU server is normally pretty horrible during events like this. As I say, you get everybody out. It looks like they disposed of the aircraft over here, but we still need... Oh no. Oh, hang on, I'm getting... artifacts on the map here. That bomber doesn't exist. That's annoying. I've actually come over here because I've assumed there's work for me to do, and in fact there isn't anything for me to do. Still, looks like we're going to get this plant in a moment. It's just that I've now, again, find myself in the wrong part of the map, and that's because of this artifact that was there, bomber and ground attacker. Not ground attacker. Multi-roll. So that's frustrating. I'm turning away from the airfield at the moment. You can probably see why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aircraft. We've only got one in there. Not going there. Let's hope that wasn't an artifact I saw over here, but was an attacker or a ground attacker or a bomber. If we do get this plant, it's going to be a short game. Now that's something I've observed recently. You saw I engaged engine cooling there. The moment I engaged engine cooling, the engine was shot out, and I see that happening so often these days. The moment you try and engage an advantage, the game immediately takes it away from you. The number of times I engage engine cooling and I instantly lose my engine to a critical, it's really, really quite remarkable these days. Yeah, we've now managed to lose both the command centres, but we have actually got both the plants. One of which we're 20 seconds away from getting a count on, so seems fairly obvious that we ought to go across to the nearer of these two, see if we can recapture it. Oh. Of course the bot, mind you, I was flying straight at it, my bad, but the bot doesn't miss, whereas a human player probably would. Now I've got no health to fight the command centre. Still got the XP-55 down again, so that's alright. Didn't realise that was the Yak 9 I was flying towards. So we will have had a count. We're about to get a count off here. The game's nearly over already. What can I say? Gameplay during events. Very, very low standard of play. Battles tend not to be competitive. One way or the other. Or a rout or a stomp. And this battle is over. There you go, all done. Oh, you're on the EU. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be, particularly at Tier 9, it's going to be horrible. Okay. Well, that's 2 hours worth of Reggiane RE 2005, which is pretty much what I had in mind to do. So the first part of the stream was all about the statistics of the aircraft, the features of the aircraft, and just to sum up, there were some surprises. There's a forward-firing weapon slot. So we can increase the DPS if we want to put on gas-operated action, and I would probably recommend that. We've flown it with a pilot with 9 skills, so a decent pilot, but by no means a top pilot. We flew it with uncalibrated equipment, all ultimate level. In all fairness, it was specialised. We've got a standard set of consumables on it. You can change this aircraft to another nation. I've checked that. We swapped it to the USA, and if you do that, I would recommend you put Elise Clark in this plane for more manoeuvrability. Possibly change it to Germany, and for head-ons you could put in Charlotte von Stauben. Equally, you could change it to the UK and put in Millie Elliott. On the statistics side, there were some surprises as well. The cruise speed is the best at Tier 7 of any fighter. This surprised me. I thought it was going to be a very indifferent cruise speed, but it compensates for what, unfortunately, is one of the worst maximum boost speeds. The manoeuvrability of the aircraft is not good. It's just above K6 levels at base. And although it's nice to have this forward-firing weapon slot, you are going to miss the extra slot on the engine, which means that you have to pick either the uprated engine if you're going for a speed build, or the boost mixture injection system. You can't have both. I haven't tried it with a boost mixture injection system. There is an argument that with such a poor maximum boost speed, you might want to try that as opposed to going for the uprated engine, which increases the already very good cruise speed. And I showed you some figures showing you what the effects of my build were. When I come to do a full review of this aircraft, I will do the 2-speed builds, one with the uprated engine, as you see here, one with the boost mixture injection system. I'll show you the effects of that. I will probably do a manoeuvrability build as well. I have no high hopes of the manoeuvrability build unless you use experimental or special project equipment and perhaps switch the aircraft to the US or UK nations and use either Elise Clark or Millie Elliott. And that is your lot. This, being a YouTube stream, will instantly be available for watching on YouTube, and that's the whole reason I did it. I'm not sure when I will be streaming again next, but it could be tomorrow and Friday as well, because I have got the rest of the week off. Today is a holiday. I've booked a holiday for Thursday and Friday as well, so you may see me around streaming a bit, although if I'm doing missions, you may see me flying an aircraft over and over again. It won't be like my normal streams at the weekend. But watch out for those on Twitch, and I hope to see some, if not all of you then. And with that, I have been the Noble Q. You have been a fantastic audience. Thanks for watching this introduction to the Reggiane Re.2005 Sagittario. Let's do this again soon.